Guys, in this video we're going to learn how to insert a new post along with its taxonomy into the database. In the previous tutorials would have learned that how to go ahead and create a form for a custom post type, and how to go ahead and use the Ajax request to submit the form and prevent its default action. And in this video, like I said, we're going to learn how to insert these values into the database. Now before we just do that, let's go ahead and so we just need to make some tweaks over here. For example, in the product category, instead of having shirt, I think what we really need is basically the types of shirt and not shirts, because shirt is actually the name, the main taxonomy. So what we can do is we can go back to our template. So we had put the template into our 2017 theme into template parts, into custom template. Okay, and over here, instead of saying product category, we can say shirt product type, we can say. Okay, and then what we really need over here is basically all of these terms, the casual, denim, and all of that. Okay, so let's do that. So we can make some minor tweaks over here. So we had the term for the color, so tax color, name color, and this was basically for the color taxonomy, this one. Now we have to, let's make it for shirt. Let's leave the t-shirt for now, because similarly you can make for t-shirt as well, but let's do it with the shirt first. Okay, so for the shirt taxonomy, we'll again pass an argument. The taxonomy name is shirt, hide empty false, shirt terms, get terms, and then we similarly, like we have run this loop over here, similarly we'll run the loop over here as well to get all the terms. Okay, so now these are shirt terms, so I can just pass it as shirt term. And now if I go ahead and refresh the page, sure enough I have product type, and then I have all the list of products terms, which is casual, cotton shirts, denim shirt. But if you don't notice, casual is actually the main category or taxonomy, and denim shirt is the sub taxonomy. So ideally what should happen is that if I select casual, then I should have a sub category to be selected over here. So how do we do that? Okay, so let's discuss that. So the first thing we need to do is basically, I want to display in the product type just the parent taxonomies. We don't want the child ones. So how do we do that? First thing we need to do is over here I will say parent, and then I'll say is 0, which means the terms who do not have parents. Okay, so I will get only casual and formal. I'm expecting only that over here. Refresh the page, and sure enough I've only got casual and formal. Now what ideally should happen, when I select casual, then I should have more options to be selected, like denim shirts. Let's create more. Let's say denim shirt, and then I would say slim shirt. I mean, I can't think of much names, but let's put slim shirts, or designer shirt, I would say designer. Okay, I'm going to set parents to casual. Okay, informal I can say office shirt. I mean, I can't think of another name. Let's put office shirt. Let's add that. So okay, so I've now got two categories, subcategories basically for these two. Okay, now we should create another label, which is product subtype. So let's copy paste this, and this will be product subtype. and we can change to product subcategory. Okay, now obviously over here let's run a query in subtype. Okay, and shared subterms is equal to this, and I can just write that shared subterms. Okay, and now we need to figure out a way so that I only have the subcategories whose parent is the one which is selected over here. Okay. Alright, so what we can do in the product subtype, let's get rid of this entire thing. Okay, in product subtype all we have is just select and the product subcategory. Okay, and over here just minor tweaks in product color. Let's set the value to term slug. I think this should be fine. Slug should be fine. Okay, and in product name, in the value, let's set the ID because we'll need the ID of the category. And over here, we'll just say slug, and we'll put data slug. Okay, so I think this is fine. If we go back and check, so we have product type, casual, formal. In product subtype we don't have any values yet, and in product color we have black, blue and green. Just to check their layouts, how do they look in the HTML. If you can check inside of this, you have the value, which is basically the ID of the category or taxonomy, and then you have the slug as well. Similarly for product type, let's check the HTML structure. We don't have anything inside that. We're going to use the Ajax to put the value over here. Then we have the product color, where we have the the slug, basically the value, and then we have the data ID. Okay, so we've got all of this information. Now how do we achieve that whenever the user selects formal or casual, we should be able to see the subcategories? How do we do that? In order for us to do that, what we need to do is we need to set an Ajax request over here. So whenever this is changed, any of this is changed, then there should be an Ajax request which tells me what has been selected over here. So is it that the this value is selected, casual is selected, or formal is selected? So it should tell me that. Okay, so we're going to write another Ajax request into our main.js file, and we're going to write the Ajax on a particular event change. Obviously I can't type all of this while on the video because it will make the video extremely long. Hence I've already typed it by pausing the video, and I'm just going to show you that. Okay, so if you check this element, basically the ID of this element is product category. Okay, so I'm saying that whenever this element is changed, okay, which means that we change it, okay, we change their values, then go ahead and call this subcat Ajax request. So this is another function that I've designed just like your Ajax request. Okay, and this function will be called, and I'm going ahead and getting the Ajax URL nonce value. So for this you don't need to define the localized script again, because we are using the same script, which is main.js. This Ajax URL and Ajax nonce will work the same no matter how many Ajax request we give. So this is a second Ajax request which is going to use the same nonce and the same Ajax URL, and this will be available under post data even for this one, just like the other one. Okay, so we can use that Ajax URL post data is equal to dot Ajax URL nonce value is equal to post data Ajax nonce. What we really need over here is basically the category ID value. Okay, so whenever any change is made, basically, so what ID is selected is what we are interested in knowing. Okay, so I'm going to say variable cat ID is equal to product category dot val, which means whatever value comes over here after it's been selected should show over here. Okay, so if you just go to console, you will see, notice that if you select this, you will see ID2, which means that casual has got the ID2, which is why you are getting a console as ID2. If you select, okay, let's get rid of this. If you select formal, sure enough you have got the ID3. Okay, and if you check, that's the ID of formal, and the value is 3, which means that's the ID basically of the category. So what we're doing over here basically is that we are getting the category ID value, which is equal to the value that's being put over here. So this is the ID value of casual category or taxonomy, and this is the ID value of the formal taxonomy. Okay, so we've got the cat ID. What we're going to do is we're going to pass this information to our custom functions.php using the Ajax request like we've done before. So you've got request is equal to jQuery.post Ajax URL. This time the action name is subcat Ajax, and this is the same action we're going to use into our custom function. Security nonce value, which is this, cat ID is equal to cat ID that you've just got. Depending on what has been selected over here, we'll get the cat ID from here. Then function on complete, and then function on done, we'll get the response. Okay, cool. So in the custom functions.php, I'm going to write another another Ajax request, which is starting from here. Starting from here up until here. Okay, so I'm saying add action WP Ajax, and this is the Ajax, same Ajax hook that I'm defining into my Ajax action for this request. And inside of this, I'm just verifying the nonce like usually, and then I'm saying that cat ID is equal to $_post cat ID. So remember, like the previous Ajax request, we had all the information available in the $_post. Now also we'll have the cat ID equal to the cat ID that's been selected over here, which is basically the value 2 or 3, whatever has been selected will be equal to the cat ID. Then again, I'm running this get terms function, which is going to get me all the terms for that particular parent. So I'm saying that when get me all the subcategories for the terms whose parent ID is cat ID, which means if the user select formal, which means the cat ID will be 3, get me all the subcategories for the taxonomy whose parent is with the category ID 3. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, is get me all the terms basically. Then I'm going to go ahead and run a for each loop. I'll set content is equal to blank, nothing, 0, and then I'm running the loop for what is returned by this get terms. Get terms will basically return all the terms, basically these terms. So for casual is going to return the designer shirts and denim shirts object, and for formal we'll get the office shirt and cotton shirt object. So whenever the category ID is 3, it's going to get me these two objects, subcategory objects, terms, and then for this cat ID is going to get me these two. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run a for each loop so that I get all of them, because tomorrow, remember, it's dynamic. So tomorrow if somebody else makes new subcategories, I should be able to get that using this for each loop. It should be dynamic. Okay, so I'm saying term name is equal to term name term slug. It's similarly, guys, how we have done it before, over here into our add new product. Similarly, we're doing it here as well. Okay, cool. So term slug, term ID, we're getting all this information. We are setting the content. Dot equal to means it'll keep appending the content depending on how many objects or how many terms are there, which is returned by the get terms function. And it's going to create this HTML for all of the option values, term slug, term ID, and term name. And we're going to pass this content over here to our WP send JSON success, and this content is going to be sent to our JavaScript file over here. Okay, so right, so over here it will be available under response.content, response.myData. So if I do response.my data, okay, then I should be able to get the value of this entire HTML that's been made. Okay, this option, and then all I have to do is just append it to the option value. Let's refresh the page. Let's go over here into the console. Let's go ahead and select casual. Okay, let's refresh the page. Okay, let's select formal. So you can see that we've got it returned inside of data, my data. We've got this entire option available. All we have to do is get this HTML and append it over here, because remember, over here we already have the select inside of this. All we have to do is just append it. So we'll get the ID of this at this point in our JavaScript file. We'll say jQuery dot append, and we're going to append response dot my data into it. Okay, so what's going to happen is it's going to give me all the list of whatever I need over there. Let's refresh the page. If you go ahead and select formal, okay, there's something wrong. Let's fix that. Okay, it's data.mydata, not response.mydata. It's data. There's a data property and then my data property out of that. So that's why it was not showing. Response.data.mydata. Data.mydata. Okay, let's save it. Let's refresh the page. Sure enough, you can see now cotton shirt is selected. And ideally what we should do is we should keep one option blank, because ideally if casual is selected, then obviously it doesn't make sense that we don't have anything selected over here. Okay, so going back to our form, where we have product type, we just need to create one option which is blank. Okay, there's something wrong. Okay, let's just echo it. Okay, and then value, it's basically nothing, and then option. Cool. If I go and check now, it's blank. Okay, cool. Now if the user select casual, sure enough we've got denim shirt over here. If the user selects formal, sure enough, one second, informal, why do I have denim shirt? Why am I getting all? Okay, I think what's happening is we are appending, right? Appending means that it's gonna keep on adding stuff. So it's not append, it's basically replace, right? In fact, what we can do is, instead of doing this, what we're gonna do is we'll set this HTML value to null first .html to blank and then append it. So in this way what will happen is at each request, first the value will be blank and then it will be appended. Let's store it in a variable since we have to use it 2 times. Product sub cat element is equal to this, and then I'm just going to change all of this with this. Okay, good enough, fair enough. Okay, cool. Just storing that in a variable. Refresh the page, select casual. I've got in-shirt and designer shirt. Select formal. I've got cotton shirt and office shirt. So now you can see what's happening is when you select in the first option, then it's removing everything inside of this basically. So inside of this, the two options that we have, it's removing all the content and then replacing it, appending with whatever new content is. So you can see how it's changing over here. Option, these two options is basically been returned by our Ajax request. Okay, so just to recap, what we're doing over here is basically when the user selects this, so on the change of the selection, we have set up an event over here that on the change, call this function. This function is going to get us the cat ID, which is basically going to be the value inside of this. So it's going to get us the cat ID, which is either 2 or 3, or depending on whatever it's there. And it's going to pass that value to my custom functions.php, to the custom function Ajax request with the same action name, subcat Ajax. Okay, and then we're going to use that category ID to call the function get terms. Going to get me all the terms, which is basically the subcategories or subtaxonomies for that particular cat ID, whose parent is this cat ID. Okay, and then it's going to get me all of that, and I'm going to go ahead and run a for each loop and create HTML content with option name, and go ahead and pass that into content, and we pass that content to our JavaScript Ajax request, and it's going to go ahead and give that as a response.data.myData, which is basically this response.data myData. This is the data, and we're going to go ahead and set the HTML to none, which is basically the HTML of this HTML to none, and then we'll go ahead and append the response that we've got from our custom functions that we've set up for that Ajax. Brilliant. Okay, so I think we've got all of that, and I think the next thing we need to do is basically insert that data into the database. Okay, so in order for us to insert the data into the database, what we need to do is basically use the WP insert method. What this is going to do is it's going to require an array of parameters, which will require the post author. So author will be equal to the user ID. User ID we're getting using get current user ID, and we are doing all of this into the update product info function, which is basically hooked to my Ajax hook, which was responsible for the first Ajax request that we had made. Okay, and then we're going to get the title. So title is basically the product name, which is this basically, and then we're going to get the product title. Product status is published. Product content is the product name. Product name is obviously the product name, but we sanitize the text field for security purposes. And then product post type is equal to product, because remember we created the post type, which is product. Okay, and then we're calling this function, which is going to return the post ID as well. Okay, the new post ID is going to insert all of the information about this one into the database and return the post ID. So once this is inserted, we can look further. So let's go ahead and try once. So I'm going to say my new shirt, and I'm going to select formal. I'm going to select office shirt. I'm going to select blue color. Okay, submit this. So you can see the Ajax request goes. My new product category blue and all of that. Okay, now I go into my database, and sure enough I should be able to see that post. I'm gonna check that into my WP post database. You can see my new shirt, publish, post name is my new shirt, and then post type is product. So we've got that inserted. We've got the post ID, which is 43, and that's what's returned by this. So you can see 43 is being returned because we had echoed post ID over here. The last thing what we need to do is we need to insert all of this information along with the post ID into the database so that we can set some relation between the category that we have selected for this particular post. Okay, so for that what we need to do is we need to use the WP set terms, set post terms function. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the category first. Okay, so over here we'll call this function WP set post terms. We need the post ID, we have the post ID, we need the term array, and then we need the taxonomy. Taxonomy is obviously shirt. Okay, because we want to, first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and feed this data, which is the taxonomy type is shirt. And remember, this is shirt and this is the taxonomy, so we want to insert that into the database. So let's go ahead and do that. So we want term array. So term array is basically an array of the term IDs. Okay, so we need that. How do we get that? Okay, so basically when we select this, we want the term ID for this and we want the term ID for this. So if we notice, the term ID for formal is 3 and the term ID for office shirt is 14. So we want these two terms IDs basically, but what happens is when you want to insert the taxonomies into the database, there is some rule for that. If the taxonomy is hierarchical, which means if it does have children, then you must pass the term IDs. But if it is non-hierarchical, which means it does not have children, then you need to pass the term names. Okay, so in our situation, these two types is basically shirt, and you can see this is hierarchical. So hence, to go ahead and feed the data for the formal and the office shirt, which is taxonomy, term type and subtype, we need to use their IDs. So we need to get these IDs basically. So how do we get that? So we'll go back to our Ajax request. We had got the product name, the product category, but we didn't get the product subcategory, so let's get that as well. Subcat, subcat. Okay, we might have made a name for that. Yeah, the ID is product subcategory. I think that's what the name is. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we've got product subcat, and I think we need to send that as well over here along with this. Product subcat. And we're going to get this data obviously into our custom functions of our Ajax request, into custom functions.php, and we just need to grab that. So we'll go back to our custom functions.php over here, and we're going to say product subcat is equal to post $_post. Put that, and we'll got the product subcategory. Okay, so I think this is basically the ID that we're getting, and this is also an ID. Now all we have to do is pass these IDs into the array, and then we can store them. So term array, product cat ID, and product subcat ID. I know it sounds complex, but if you practice it, you'll be able to do it. So term array is equal to array, and we've got two items, product cat ID and product subcategory. And this is what I'm going to do is it's going to set the relationship between the post ID that we've just been returned by once the post is created. So what's happening is, first post is being created using WP insert post. Once the post is created, it's going to return the post ID. We pass this post ID to WP set post terms, which is going to accept the post ID for which we want to set the relationship between these terms and the post, and it's going to take the array of those post IDs which you want to set the relationship to, and then it takes the taxonomy, which is shirt. This is a taxonomy, basically shirt. The last thing which is left is basically the product color. Okay, and what we can do is, for this as well, we can use the same function. But this time, remember, in the term array, all we need is just the name, because the color is non-hierarchical. So if it's non-hierarchical, as per the rule, if you're inserting data for non-hierarchical taxonomy, then you must pass the term names in the term array and not the term ID. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so product name, basically. Product color, what do we have in product color? Let's check that. Yeah, I think value has got the slug. We don't need the slug, we need the name. So product color, value is equal to term name. Okay, cool. So coming back to our custom functions.php, so we need the product color name, and all we have to do is just pass this product color name into an array, and we can set the term. So in WP set post terms, we've got the post ID. We can pass this in an array. We don't have to create a separate variable for that because it's just one item. And then the name of the taxonomy is color. Remember, if you go over here, hover over it, just try to look down over at this place. You can see it says taxonomy color. Okay, so I put the taxonomy color, and sure enough, this should take care of the thing. Let's create a new, I think that's all sorted. Let's create a new one. Let's say fancy shirt. Let's select casual. Let's select designer shirt, and let's select blue. Let's go ahead and submit. Let's notice the Ajax request, and you can see that for the final Ajax request, when you submit it, okay, there's something wrong, it seems, somewhere. What happened? Maximum call stack exceeded. Okay, let's just refresh the page, try it one more time. I hope the post is not created. Set post terms. Okay, no problem. No, it's not created. Product name, product color name, product cat. Okay, yeah, this is a problem. It says product cat, it should be product color, I think. Let's see. Yeah, product color, not product cat. That was the issue. Okay, so I think now it should take care of the problem. Let's refresh the page. designer shirt. First time the Ajax request will go when we change this. You can see this Ajax request complete now, and now this is denim is got. I will change this to designer, and then the next time the Ajax request will go when we submit the form. We submitted the form. Again, there's some issue, it seems. I'll just check that. Moment. Okay, that problem has been solved. So the issue was that over here in product subcat in the main.js file, this value was missing. It was like this, so I missed the value actually over here. Okay, so now it's fine. Now if I go set the new product, let's say my designer shirt, select the product type to casual, select this to designer shirt, you can see that the Ajax request is gone, and this Ajax request was basically to select the subcategory, and let's leave it to black, or I can just say blue, and I click on submit. And when I click on submit, notice here that there will be one more Ajax request because we are sending two Ajax requests. One was just to select the category, subcategory, and one is to submit the form. So I'm going to click over here, and sure enough, if you check Ajax request complete, you've got product name, product category, subcategory ID, product color, and all of that. And ideally, you should have that stored into your database. You check WP post, browse. Let's go to the last one. And sure enough, you've got my designer shirt, my designer shirt. Post ID is 46, and the relationship between the terms is stored under WP term relationship table. If you check over here to the last post, which is 46, you can see that the taxonomy ID 2, 11, and 13, which are for the terms 2, 13, and there should be one more, which is the color blue. So I think the ID for the blue was let's see, for the blue color, yeah, ID for the blue color was 11, and I think that's what's been stored, 11, 2, 11, 13. Okay, great. So we've got that. If you go into the backend, if you check all products into your product custom type, you can see that you've got my designer shirt, you've got casual, you've got designer shirt, you've got color blue over here. Okay, into the category. So no, that's been taken care of. Right, it's been selected. Yeah, and in the next video, we're going to learn how to display that data on the front end, and how to, in the following videos, we'll learn how to go ahead and display that on the, how to add filters by creating a filter widget and display the data dynamically. Okay, great. So I know this video had been too long, but I hope you did like it. I'm just going to go ahead and give you a quick recap of what happened over here, basically. So you had the form. We got hold of all of these elements basically using the document.query selector into our Ajax request function, and on the submit button, a click of the submit button, we've added an event saying that prevent the default functionality of the submit button, which means the page will not get refreshed, and then call this function. This function is going to get me the values of the product name, category, subcategory, and color, which is basically these values: name, type, subcategory, and color. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and pass all of these values along with the Ajax URL and nonce value to our Ajax function, which is jQuery.post. We're going to pass all of these values on the success of the Ajax request to our custom functions.php. Inside of the custom functions.php, we have a function going on over here, which is going to get all of those values in $_post. $_post with these names, which is basically the names over here: product name, product cat, subcat, and pet color, which is these, will be equal to this. So we're sorting them in variables. We are passing all of this information into the array of arguments. We're passing those arguments to WP insert post, which is going to create the post and feed it to the database, which goes inside of your WP post and gets stored over here. Okay, over here. And then we want to also create a relationship between the categories and subcategories, which are the taxonomies terms. Okay, so we're going to use WP set post terms. So, put the post ID which is returned by the post that has been created. Term array will be equal to the array containing the IDs of categories and subcategories, which are basically your these IDs for these two, type and subtype. And then we'll put the taxonomy name, which is shirt, and then we use the WP set post terms, post ID, and then we put the product color name, which is the ID of the color term, and then we put the taxonomy name, which is color. So both of these functions are going to go ahead and set the relationship between the post ID and the terms into the WP relationship table. If you check over here, sure enough, this is the post ID, and this is the relationship which has been set between the two, which eventually will make this available over here, and you have the taxonomies terms set to this particular post. Okay, so post is created in the database using WP set post, WP insert post, and the taxonomies relationship is set by WP set post terms method. Okay, and then in the meanwhile you also have another Ajax request going on with the subcat Ajax action name, and inside of this we are actually getting the cat ID of what's been selected over here, and then creating content for the product subtype, and depending on what ID has been passed, using the getTerm function, we're getting the values of all of the subcategories and feeding it over here, and creating a HTML structure with options using for each loop, and passing that information, passing that HTML to the JavaScript file into our Ajax request function, and over here appending that to the DOM over here. Okay, cool. So I hope I've done a good enough job to explain that to you in detail, and also recap all of the information for you. If you did like my video, please do subscribe to my channel and do share my videos. Take care, guys. See you in the next video. We will learn how to create the widget filter, how to display all of this data on the front end, and how to create filter to filter the result just like your Amazon. Okay, take care, guys. Bye bye.